Hello, this will be my presentation of findings video. It's Emily Miller here, and we will be talking today about verbal bullying. Firstly, I'd like to summarize the definition of verbal bullying, just saying that it's when an individual uses unkind words to purposely hurt somebody. This can be through rumors or harassment or offensive remarks. It is to purposely scare or hurt another person using your words. Here is the contents of what I'll be talking about in the video today. We are going to be starting off with an introduction video that I believe is significant and beneficial towards this topic. Then we will be unpacking and discussing critical questions. We will be diving into why do people bully, the impact of bullying, statistics on bullying recently, how educators can build a positive school culture, and my closing thoughts. I wanted to start off my video with a personal experience. I was bullied for 3 years, grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9. On the screen right now, you can see I was very happy. I was at a hockey tournament. The picture of me is me smiling with 2 thumbs up. All I was focused on was having the best weekend ever with my dad in Toronto, playing the sport that I loved with all my friends on my team. That's what you'd think, right? Well, little did you know, I was suffering with severe depression in that photo. My dad had to guarantee me a donut to get out of bed that morning to go to the hockey game. And the woman who's taking my photo, her daughter was the one doing the bullying. That was the most challenging and difficult weekend of my life, one of many, because it never stopped until I switched schools. The grass is not always greener on the other side, is what my psychologist told me for over a year before she gave me the go-ahead to switch schools. I begged her constantly, I begged the principal, and everybody said no. Once I was at a different school, I had the most positive educational experience you could possibly ask for. This is why I want to be a teacher now, is because the teachers that gave me the time of day after. I experienced cyberbullying. As you can see at the bottom, there are 2 different comments. They are still posted on public accounts to this day, that's how I found them. They're still there, they're still active, and it still hurts. I experienced physical bullying whenever I would come home, whenever I come back to school from my therapist, as I'd have to leave every day at lunch because I could not stand to physically stay on campus during the hour of lunchtime. Somebody would always be meeting me at the top of the stairs or the bottom of the stairs to make sure I did not make it to the top, which happened almost every other day. I experienced verbal bullying. I distinctively remember as if it was yesterday. I was sitting in the stall hiding from the exact group of people that walked into the bathroom, started commenting, making negative jokes about me and my body and my personality and my food I ate and every single thing about me and my identity, picked me apart for 8 minutes while I sat there quivering with my feet sitting on top of the toilet. No child should ever experience this, and this is genuinely why I'm curious and I want to explore the impacts of bullying and how we as future educators can put it to rest, put it to bed. There should be no bullying. There should be only kindness, and that's why I feel so passionately about this presentation. For the introduction, I thought that it would be very beneficial to show a video that I believe is very significant. It is a motivational speaker named Mr. Jason that goes into schools to talk about bullying. This is a video on his workshop of what he did in an elementary school when one of the students was being verbally bullied.
Well, they call me stupid because sometimes I misspell words. So some people want to talk to the teacher, and that's how to spell the words or to say it. People make fun of me about it.
Say verbal bullying. Verbal, say verbal. Bullying. That's the most reported case of bullying in the country. Do we understand that? So now the key thing, come here, son. So say if I said, man, your face is blue. Would that offend you? Say no. No. The reason why it shouldn't is because you're not blue complexion. So now I'm just trying to get you to understand, all the people would call us names like stupid, foolish, ugly, or whatever it may be. You only give it power when you think about yourself that way. If I called you something that you already believe about yourself, it's going to affect you. But if I call you something that you don't believe about yourself, it won't affect you, or it shouldn't affect you. So the same way we deal with physical threats, You got to deal with verbal threats or assaults. Do we understand? So when a word comes at me that's negative, I fan off. So if he puts his hand on me, just trying to push me, I don't stay here and try to fight this. Because if I stay here, that punch is coming. When the hand comes, there's no need to respond. I don't need to fan at it now. I need to wait until this hand touches me so I can use it against him. Those negative words, what they call you said stupid or something? You're not stupid to me. Just because you may not be able to pronounce a word at a certain time. I don't do it all the time. But I'm intelligent. You're beautiful. You're not short. You're strong. You're stocky. You got an advantage over me if we was to grapple or wrestle. You got to see that. You're welcome. And you look smooth in your glasses. A lot of kids talking, you're welcome. A lot of kids who talk about you negative are probably jealous of you because you're an individual. You're unique. So if someone touches you, it's a word, calling you stupid, fan it off. He touches again, it's nothing to me. The worst thing I could do is for him for it to stick, and I believe it, and now, boom, now I'm knocked out. He pushes, this is still not enough, because that's coming. I come in a movement. Now come here. He fans off, I come here. Come here and control him. Then I can throw him down. Or I can throw him this way. But that all happened because this here is nothing. It's just a word. It's just a push. This is a problem. If I stay here and this punch comes because I believe this. He touches, oh no, I refuse. Put myself in another position to put him in disadvantageous position.
Here are some of my video takeaways that I believe are important for everybody else to notice. The video went quickly, so I just wanted to go back and talk about it. The first point that he said that I took down was verbal bullying is the most reported case of bullying across the country. I thought that was a very interesting fact, and I believe that it was interesting how the students were genuinely looked surprised, as I believe that it seems very accurate. The next point, you only give it power when you think about yourself that way. This goes hand in hand with the next quote that I wrote down. It won't affect you, or it shouldn't affect you. Mr. Jason mentioned this point in the video when he asked the little boy if he said, if I called you blue, would this upset or offend you? And he's saying you only give it the power when you think about yourself that way. So if somebody says a mean comment or a negative comment at you, essentially and realistically, if you don't believe it's true about yourself or you aren't questioning that about yourself already, then it shouldn't affect you, or it shouldn't affect you. Moving on, when a word comes at me that's negative, I fan off. That is very good strategy and a piece of advice that students could benefit from in their toolbox if they were to be verbally bullied. It's very difficult to fan off, but that is a good strategy to approach with. There's no need to respond. That's very difficult for many people to do. When somebody says something negative at you, you are being the bigger person, and if you react, and then you are giving them power to continue to hurt you. Whereas if you don't and you don't respond, then you aren't helping the situation. A lot of people that just talk negatively about you are jealous of you. That is one fact that many articles have also said about bullying, is that the reason why people pick on each other is because they want something that the other has that they don't. This could be a loving family at home, social status, economic status, whatever it could be. There is a reason that could be one of them. And then the last one was, it's just a word. I thought that was very moving. It is just a word, and teachers should constantly remind students of that. But in the moment, words are very meaningful, and they are very powerful. Throughout my research for this presentation, I chose to focus on specific critical questions that guided my research. The first question that I chose to question and research is, how does the use of technology affect the amount of verbal bullying that occurs? Emphasis on affect the amount, which was my question. My next question was, what is the role of power imbalance, and how does it affect bullying scenarios? This in relation to systemic inequalities. My next question is, what are the intervention strategies for students specific for certain ages and grades? I was wondering this because whenever I was going through school, I felt as though I was continuously getting the same advice to put in my toolbox. Whereas from Mr. Jason's video, we can see that it's easier or less of a challenge for older students, let's say in grade 10 or 11, to know that I don't think that about myself, so it shouldn't mean anything and it shouldn't affect me. Whereas a grade 3 or grade 4 student may not have that ideology and that self-confidence in mind to know that. They just might start questioning themselves. So understanding and having specific advice and feedback and strategies for the younger students or the older students. And then lastly, what can educators do to reduce verbal bullying in schools? I like this question, and I think that I will continue to explore this question throughout my professional development in classrooms. But I'm genuinely curious because I feel as though the two different provinces have put in different policies to help reduce verbal bullying, but it hasn't reduced it to the amount that we need it to. So we're going to hop into those questions. The first question was, how does the use of technology affect the amount of verbal bullying that occurs? My first idea to respond to this question was the fact that technology is 24/7. Social media does not sleep. Therefore, if you have your phone, you are giving yourself access to receiving those comments, receiving those hateful messages. Although this is cyberbullying, these comments are verbally words that would be told to you in person. If we did not have our technology all the time, and if social media took a break, then students wouldn't have the opportunities to constantly be verbally bullied from at home as well. My one strategy that I was given when I was younger in grade 8 was that nothing good happens on social media after 7 or 8 o'clock at night. After that time, this is 2 to 3 hours after the school day is done. That's time for you to ask the questions to your friends, to respond to group work, do your homework. You can use technology for that. After that, there's nothing that you will miss that's urgent that you can't respond to the next morning. So that's one strategy that I have for students. If you're experiencing bullying online at nighttime, don't bring your phone into your room. Leave it somewhere. Don't look at it. Focus on being in the moment. My idea number 2 was that many individuals believe that because they're hiding behind a screen and you're not saying it face to face, either option A, your words don't mean as much and they can't hurt the other person as much, or they're taking advantage of not being in person and going above and beyond with their words to extra hurt the person because they're not face to face, which is very true. Not being in person gives people the extra confidence. It says, well, they aren't here, so I can just do this and it's fine. Whereas it's not fine. Moving on to my idea number 3 is that it reaches more people. One post, as we can see even now through TikTok, I can see people from Korea and Japan or Antarctica, Nunavut, anywhere. Once you post something, it travels and you can never take it away. Once it's posted up there, it is there for life. Just as you can see, whenever I went through my personal experience, I went through Instagram, found the post from 6 years ago, and the comments were still there. Social media is worldwide, and students and individuals in general need to be aware of it. The question I want to leave you thinking and pondering about is, how do you enforce it if there's no proof? Many students have been bullied over Snapchat, and when they say, well, they said this, they said that, well, it was on Snapchat, it disappeared, it's gone. How do you prove that? How do you get access to it? As a future educator, what are your next steps? My next question is, what is the role of power imbalance and how does it affect bullying scenarios with a point of systemic inequalities? Bullying scenarios, this could be meaning that you are the bully or you are being bullied. My idea number 1 was that one's identity and the intersections within your gender, race, socioeconomic status, sexuality, religion. Those are many different points that many students tend to bully upon due to their identity. Looking up at the top left corner, I put a quote from Stop Bullying Government. It says about 15.4% of students reported being bullied by a student who is more powerful than them in some way. Looking at the top right corner, furthermore, it adds, the bully had more money. 35.2% victims said that their bully had more money. which goes into the socioeconomic status of maybe that they're using their money to bully people, saying that I have more than you, so I'm going to use my words against you. Idea number 2, social power, a group versus an individual. That is a huge, very large power imbalance that many individuals face on a day-to-day occurrence. As yes, bullies are individuals, but bullies tend to socialize with other bullies, or they'll find a vulnerable student and make them their friend, and then they'll have another partner in crime. I was the individual with the group of bullies, and it is not a fun scenario to be in. So that power imbalance affects everything, because now that individual believes that they are vulnerable because they don't have the support system in the back that they need in comparison to who they're up against. My idea number 3 is bystander prevention. I believe that if there's a group of people against an individual and there's one bystander, I believe that there are low chances that this bystander will go and talk to somebody and report it. I believe that they will act in fear of being bullied against from that group as well. So not because they don't want to speak up, but because out of fear, I believe that they won't feel as though they have the opportunity to, or they will speak up and have to constantly live with the idea that they could find out, which is also very scary. I would love to leave you to ponder with another question. What if the bully is an individual with authority? For example, a teacher or a principal. I experienced being bullied by a teacher, and I'm wondering, as a future educator and as a previous student that was not believed, what are you going to do as a future educator? What are the next steps if you find out from a student that a different teacher is bullying the student? Moving into our next critical question is, what are intervention strategies for students, focusing on specific grades and ages? My idea 1, this was my idea to pitch to elementary students, which I feel as though teachers have already been pushing this, but to seek support, talk to somebody about your experience. Ensuring that little kids have, little younger children have that support system and have the idea in their mind that they can come to talk to you and you can save them and help them and support them. That is, I believe, the most beneficial and impactful thing that a teacher or an educator can do. Moving on to idea number 2, Mr. Jason Wilson says, never give words power over you. I believe that's a strategy that the older students can use. I believe if you have a lesson on bullying, you can teach them, show them the video, explain to them. I believe that older students can benefit from this idea. Number 3, it's just never changing who you are. I think that every single grade and every single person can benefit from that. I believe having somebody tell them that we love you and support you for who you are, never change who you are because of somebody else and what they're saying about you. I believe that is very impactful. The question that I have to ask now for the future is, what happens when the strategies aren't enough? Moving into our last question, I ask, what can educators do to reduce verbal bullying in schools? Although we will discuss policies that are already implemented in schools, my first idea was teaching lessons on peace building and empathy. I believe that setting your classroom expectations right at the beginning of the year and ensuring that there are read-alouds and different books in your classroom, having those examples and making sure that students are aware that this is how we act and this is how we behave. I believe that's crucial and critical for the rest of the school year. Idea number 2 is classroom management and norms. I believe that goes with the classroom expectations, knowing that we treat people with kindness in this classroom. This is a safe zone for you to love who you are and be who you are and be confident in it. Having that idea in the classroom, I believe, is very important and essential. My idea number 3 is providing access to support. In high schools in Ontario, we have guidance counselors that all students have time that they can take to go speak with them. You can book an appointment, or as a teacher and an educator, you can actually set up the appointment for the student and just say, hey, I thought that you might benefit from this. Making sure that you are observing the behaviors of your students. And also providing safe spaces outside the classroom. This could be in the resource office, or for example, when I was in the Catholic high school, I would go to the chapel, or my teacher would allow me to go for a walk and sit in a part of the stairwell that was very isolated so I can have a moment to myself. The question I ask for you for this one is, are teachers responsible for the bullying that occurs in their classroom? Classroom, according to Stop Bullying Government, has 39% bullying that is involved in the classroom. Are teachers responsible? Is this a fault on teachers for not being aware and observant? Did they not set the right classroom expectations? How is this going to move forward? I'm going to unpack that in my paper. So, why do people bully? That is a great question, and there are so many different responses to. First of all, not only am I asking that question, so did Keaton Jones. At the beginning of his viral video questioning why he is getting bullied, as he's already different in comparison to everyone else, he says, "Why do you enjoy taking innocent people and finding a way to be mean to them? It's not okay." Well, Keaton, I agree with you. It's definitely not okay. And some of the reasons why people might bully others is because they're jealous of them. Potentially they have something they want and that they can't have. Maybe they're jealous of their home life, or the clothes they wear, or their academic achievements, or the sports team they play on. There's so many different reasons why somebody could be jealous of you, and that's why, instead of being your friend and saying and showing kindness and wanting to be a part of it, they try and take it away from you. They try and knock you down so many times that you don't even see the positive in it anymore, of having it, whatever it could be. Additionally, another reason is because potentially in the home that they grew up in, if parents are aggressive and show anger and raise their voice, or potentially use punishment, like physical punishment, this could also be, children will see this and think that it's okay because they're still together and that they still love each other, when it's not. So that's also another reason that it could be occurring, is their home life. Additionally, a greater social status, popularity. Somebody doesn't like that you're popular, so they're going to spread rumors about you, they're going to say hateful things about you, and they're going to pick you apart so nobody else views you in that way ever again. Words are hurtful, and just like Kelly Clarkson said, she says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It makes you stronger, but it's also very challenging to get there. This short video will show you the impact on bullying from a student perspective.
My cousin, he killed himself because he never told no one, and his mum was there for him, but he just didn't tell, and I don't like bullying because of that.
I was bullied, and it was cyberbullying, and even though people think it's not a big deal and I'll just get over it, it's really not as easy and as people make it sound.
You already have that tapping in your head and you're already thinking these things. As soon as someone says it and makes it real, it kind of destroys you, and you start to think about things that you really shouldn't. And I started to die inside from these comments and start to just crumble, and it was awful.
It felt like I was some sort of planet, and this portal had sucked me into this internal darkness realm.
Feeling alone, feeling like you're not good enough for something or good enough for someone, feeling like people will be ashamed to sing with you, or feeling so down. And when you start thinking of all the things you could do to end it.
The worst part was going home and seeing what all these people had said about me. It's not like I could just go home and come back to it tomorrow when I go back to school, but it was my reality. It was my life at one point.
Through the video, we have observed that there are many different impacts of bullying and how it impacts people differently depending on the situation and the type of bullying as well. I wrote down 6 main points from the video that I'd like to discuss. Firstly, I believe that bullying, verbal bullying, makes you doubt your self-worth and makes you feel as though you are not good enough. I think that if somebody tells you enough that maybe you're dumb or you're stupid, you are going to think that. And although you know inside that you are an intelligent and competent human, you will begin to question that, and you will question your own self-worth. And if you continue to give it the power to let it eat you and affect you inside, then it will. The next point was, one of the girls in the video said it stays with you. People say that it's easy to overcome. As soon as it's finished, then you can move on. Well, no, it stays with you. It stays with you internally. You know that you went through that experience. Now, what are you going to do about it? I choose to educate people and to help others and to spread kindness and positivity. What will you do? The next one is fear. I was scared, and students would be scared as well, to walk down the hall, or if somebody makes the comment, you have that constant fear living inside you that something's going to happen. And with bullying, it will, because it's continuous and it's constant. Number 4 is isolation. I believe that once I started being bullied, I isolated myself because I was just scared that everybody was going to think the same and tell me the same things. So you tend to put yourself in a corner and you back away from everybody, because if it's only you, then you're happy. But if there's other people, then you could be upset. Number 5 is academics, just like how I talked about, how I missed over 115 days of school. Children need to be mentally there and in good mind spaces, in a good headspace, to be engaged and to respond and to intake the learning. If they're being bullied, their mind will not be there. It will be, where is my bully? What are they going to say next? Where am I going to hide? Last but not least, suicide and self-harm. That is, a lot of people think that they can take the pain away by doing it, and it does not work. The pain will still be there, and that is the furthest step that would be very sad for many students to take, but that is a step that many students do. So as future educators, we need to make sure that no student in our classroom or in our school is feeling at that point, and if they are, then we need to get on top of it and talk about it and develop and come up with strategies to help and support the student. I found my bullying statistics from safecanada.ca. 2 important ones that I thought I would highlight was elementary students face bullying every 7 minutes. I believe as future educators, that's something that we need to be aware of. That is a very high amount of bullying that occurs in a 7-hour school day. 47% of Canadian parents have at least one child who has been a victim of bullying. That's many different household families that have experienced bullying. I think this is also an interesting fact for maybe teachers to also think about, that many different families are wondering how they can support their children. So this is another thing that we can work with parents to help resolve the problem. Now, looking down at the chart below, that's actually a chart. It got posted on Tuesday, November 19th. It's a part of an article that says parents moved bullied children to other schools as teachers struggle to control student behavior. This news article had, I believe, 5 approximately cases of different students currently being bullied right now, that some of them have committed suicide. They have different impacts on the bullying, and their parents decided that enough was enough. The teachers were not doing enough, so they switched schools. So as future educators, I question you, how can we build a positive school culture in our school? This to make the shift in the education system as a whole. As you can see on the slide, I incorporated a photo from my mind map for the bullying. It highlights future of education as a whole. It has the Ontario in the middle and the Quebec side on the right. It highlights the Education Act and the effective response policy, the annual bullying intervention week, Pink Shirt Day. They have Safe at School resources posted online. There are many different resources that teachers have access to, but it's how do we create that positive school culture? Building a positive school culture is essential towards a positive educational experience and making sure that your learners are intaking all the information and learning everything that you need them to. I find it interesting because in our socialization in the schooling process, the reading for class 2, the article highlights social competence, which is what teachers are supposed to teach students, is learning how to collaborate, learning how to share, working with your peers, your classmates, understanding that as a whole. Additionally, moral conformity. Teachers are supposed to be showing through literature and different activities how to know what is right and what is wrong. bullying falls under the wrong. So what are we potentially lacking, and what could we be increasing to ensure that students know that treating people with kindness and being nice and being caring and supportive and mindful are all positive things in the right, whereas bullying and saying mean things and hurtful comments to others is wrong. I also find it very interesting because in the article, it says that this type of socialization is accomplished through teachers emphasizing the desirable of certain virtues such as hard work, equity, and being nice. That goes under moral conformity. Another way to build a positive school culture is be Mr. Jensen from our other videos in class. I thought that was really interesting how instead of making him sit on his hands, he decided to put the child and let him overstimulate and let him begin to tap, and now he is a drummer. I think that is incredible. I think that we need to embrace and uplift students rather than put them down and not help them understand themselves and what's happening. Additionally, I thought that it was very interesting how in The Pain and Joy of Teaching, the video, the speaker highlights, here I was thinking I would be some kind of gardener trying to help some flowers bloom. Teaching isn't easy. Throughout the entire video, bullying was not mentioned once. It was talking about student achievement and grades and submitting things on time and the role of a teacher in general, but those small rewards of when that student was had a challenging time when they walked the stage, that is one of the greatest joys of a teacher. I think one of the greatest joys of a teacher is being able to be in the classroom knowing that your students feel safe and feel comfortable and feel safe around you and in your presence. Some tips for teachers that I found through different research articles was that a way to create the positive school culture is making sure that we are knowledgeable and observant and setting those positive expectations and norms right from the beginning. This goes under classroom management. In conclusion, I feel that verbal bullying is very present and it will continue to increase if teachers and educators do not set the classroom expectations and model good behaviors. I question, what can we do as a collective society to end verbal bullying, and is this possible? Thank you so much for listening to my video, and I'm very excited and looking forward to further elaborating on each of these ideas through my paper. I feel as though with good research and knowledgeable facts, this will genuinely benefit my classroom environment and my future practice as a teacher. Thank you.